everyone, welcome to Now I See. I'm Anna Choi. Now I See is a dedicated program that opens up the lives and insights of those that have become Christian. Today I have a special guest with me. Her name's Debbie. Thank you for joining us today, Debbie.
Hi, Anna.
So before we get to know about how you became Christian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Where do I start? Okay, so I'm an Australian. People often think I'm from somewhere else. My background, my heritage is Irish, Swedish, and I'm a fifth generation, and I am married now to an Egyptian for the last, I think, about 38 years, something like that. And I am part of St George Parish in Kensington, Sydney. And I don't know, I've got two children, Luke and Elizabeth, and now I have a granddaughter as well, so the family's growing. Not too much.
Great. So how did you get to know about the Orthodox Church?
Okay, so we have to wind the clock back a bit. So when I was in high school, not far from here, I was going to school with an Egyptian girl, and that was the connection. So I started meeting other Coptic people, and when I was 15, I was introduced to His Grace Bishop Antonius Marcos, who is now in Johannesburg, South Africa. He was His Holiness Pope Shenouda was the actual bishop for Australia, but he was unable to come here very often, and so Amber Antonius was allocated to look after Australia at the time. So one day he was here and I was introduced to His Grace, and that was the beginning of the story.
Great. So were you Christian beforehand?
Probably on paper I'd say yes, but we weren't brought up to be Christian, so I couldn't tell you what Easter was or Christmas or anything like that. I do recall going to Sunday school perhaps once or twice at a local church, and I'm not sure why or how, but I was very small. I remember the Sunday school class, and in fact I've been engaging with that church now some, I don't know, 50 years later.
Wow.
So yeah, a local Anglican church actually.
Yeah. And at what age did you start coming to the church?
Okay, I was coming for several months prior to being baptized at 15, and that was it was Abuna Musa Solomon, who had just arrived from Egypt, and at that time my confessions had to be translated, and we didn't have any of the liturgy books in English. In fact, it was a piece of paper that had been typed on a typewriter and it was stapled together. And we had just printed the Agbeya at that time. But other than that, the only book I was given by Amber Antonius, His Grace, was the Stana Rohban, which is the story of the Desert Fathers.
Okay, and that was English,
it.
Yeah.
That was it. There were no English masses, no English sermons. Everything was translated to me.
That's really interesting. Then how did you what made you stay there?
Yeah, I don't know actually. All I can say is now, I can tell you now that it was only the grace of God, only. Yeah. At 15, I know that I was searching for something, and there were many things on the horizons, but God has His time and His people, and their witnessing of Him and their light shining in a life that was very dark was enough to catch my attention and be baptized. And when I look back, it was all very simple, and it was His work. And I now know that there was a purpose involved, many purposes, and it was just His work.
Yeah. So you attended all the Sunday services there, and they were all in Arabic, so it was all totally translated to
Arabic or Coptic. Yes. Yeah. Look, they tried to translate as much as they could. I did set out on a journey of learning Arabic and Coptic, which I did do. I can read and write Arabic and read and write Coptic and all that, but it's not until you hear in your own language, in your heart, that things really are opened to you.
Yeah. So at what age did it start, did Abuna start praying in English and you started getting the...
Oh, not for a long time. No, maybe that's a hard question,
like 10
Anna.
years later? Or?
Yeah, maybe. I know His Grace, Amber Antonius, came here one year and there was a great uproar because he is a mission bishop and he had been in Africa. He'd been working in Kenya and Ethiopia and
Was this
throughout.
prior of him coming to Australia?
Yes, he was
already
actually
in...
posted in Africa. So he had the knowledge of what it took to take that approach to non-Egyptians. And so he came and he said, we have to have an English liturgy for these people. There were a few of us at the time, and it wasn't accepted at first. In fact, there were great brawls over it.
Yeah.
Today we take advantage, we don't think anything of it, that 90% of a liturgy can be in English. But once upon a time, very slowly, words were introduced, and the priests that were here, Abuna Mina Namatalla, who's passed away now, he spoke English, but Father Musa Solomon, who was one of the priests here, couldn't speak English at the time. But I have to say that God's message can bridge a language, and the service it transcends everything. And so the Coptic faith and the passion of those people at the time, the servants, reached me despite language. Yeah.
What was the most exciting event that happened to you, like after seeing Christ?
I think I can tell you it's today. I think every day, because of the work and the service of those people, every day is exciting. I see Christ every day, and I'm very grateful that those people had the faith in God to know that everyone can accept God's message. There were many before that would probably have said, oh, don't worry about that person, and they did say, this person's not worth trying. But they persisted, and there's a reason why 2,000 years later the Coptic Church is alive and well and reaching the four corners of the earth. They're in every country, and they have something special to give. So I think that's the exciting thing. I wouldn't bring out one thing.
What made you want to stay in the Orthodox Church and also get baptized? Because you had other, you had the Anglican Church, you've got the Church of England.
Well, they were very foreign to me as much as the Orthodox Church. So I wasn't connected to a church. So Christian faith was foreign. So whether it came through an Australian church or whether it came through a culturally ethnic church, that was God's way.
I guess it would be harder at a Coptic church because, one, the language, and then two, just the culture of the people in the church as well. You can't really relate to as much, besides obviously Christ himself.
Yes, and I look back now and think, how did that happen? And I see many, I've seen hundreds of people come after me. We're pretty sure that I was the first non-Egyptian baptized in Australia, and so I've seen many come after me. And I always wonder, gosh, how are you going to cope, and how's it going to be, and do you think you want some hints, or do you want some,
tips and advice, or...
which is nice. But if God chooses people, then even mountains will not stand in His way. And so I can't even say it was effortless. It really was. It was effortless. Over the years, there have been struggles. But those struggles have come with the knowledge of faith. And yes, at times it's frustrating that things aren't said in English or whatever, but the richness of the Coptic Church is exceptional. The richness. And that's what keeps me, even if I get very frustrated and, I don't know anything else anyway, so I don't know where I'd go. I am Coptic since 15. And so it's my faith.
Yeah.
I just don't look Egyptian and I don't look Coptic, and but it's as much mine as it is of 2,000-year-old Copts. So.
Yeah. And how did you know you were ready? You were ready to get baptized?
At 15, I don't know if I did. All I knew was it was the time.
Well, like, what was the process of it? Did the priest at that time come up to you and said, "Oh, look, it's Debbie, it's time. You've just been here for too long. It's time for you to get baptized."
No, it wasn't long. Didn't take a long time. I mean, you're talking, such a long time ago.
Yeah.
So it was just time. That was it. It was just time.
And you just knew it. You're like, this is the right time to get.
I was very at peace.
Yeah.
And I've become. I was very at peace then, and 38, 39, 40 years later, I'm even more at peace knowing that I'm in the right place with the right people, and everything has been planned from a very long time ago.
Yeah. So. And what made you want to look for Christ?
Oh, I didn't even do that.
You didn't?
No,
it was just a friend that connected you and brought you to the church?
Simply, I knew that they had something that I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted. I knew they had something I wanted, and I needed to get it, and that's it.
Oh, cool. Tell us a little bit about your baptism day.
Gee whiz. I don't know. I remember there was a lot of discussion about how it was going to go and who was in the room and how it was going to happen. And
were your family there as well?
My mum was, and that was, she was a little bit, what's going on here? These people are very strange.
Yeah.
Yes. That's all that was there. My mum was there.
And did you have a baptism name?
No. No.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think they were all sort of, there was too much going on figuring out. I think you'd have to... No, I didn't have one, and I've never had one.
What I'd be really curious about is, like, how did your family, take your decision to get baptized in the church?
Okay, so we were brought up in a very Australian family, so anything goes, basically. Yeah. Interestingly, though, my mum and dad had been separated, so I hadn't seen my dad for a very long time. And one of the first lessons I did learn was to love your enemy. And so one day I did contact him, and I said, would you like to meet? And we had lunch. And then I was working after school with an Egyptian Copt as well. And so he met my boss, and it was a Wednesday, and that was the day that I would go to the church with other Egyptian people that were supporting me. And my father came with me, and he was not a God lover at all. At the end of the day, he said, this is a very good place, you should stay here. And I said, oh, maybe. And he said, and this is a very good person, these people look after you, and this boss is looking after you. And I said, yes, he is. You should stay here. And I said, yes. And then 1 week to the day of that Mass, he passed away. And both of those things that he said have come true. I've stayed with the church, and eventually, after I was baptized and in the church for some time, I married, and I married the person that I was employed by.
Oh, wow. And how did your mum, when you told her, oh, Mum, I'm going to get baptized, what was her reaction?
I don't remember the conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
We were very sort of easygoing, where, we don't, non-judgmental family, and sort of everything was cool and everything was okay, and oh well, it's a good place, yeah, okay, fine.
Right, so unfortunately we have run out of time.
It's easy.
So please tune in to our next episode of Now I See on CYC. I'm Anna Choi. God bless.